I'm Dwight Gow and you're watching Newcastle Fan TV.
Hi everyone, welcome to our latest podcast where we're going to be talking about a massive 47 players to get through. We're going to be looking at all of the squad and some of the youngsters who are on the fringes of the first team. A lot of players who are out on loan as well. With me, as usual, we've moved across to St James's Park from the podcast you heard from the other day because it's absolutely freezing now, 7 o'clock at night. We look like tramps sitting on the floor. So we're going to be just doing a quick intros and we'll get on to the squad. So my name's Lee, everyone knows who I am, Newcastle Fans TV presenter. Sharkey.
I'm Sharkey. My YouTube channel is Newcastle United, One Club, One City. I talk everything Newcastle United and I also do other football related content as well.
Hi, I'm Elisha. I have a YouTube channel as well, Elisha FC, where I cover Newcastle United content as well.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm Lee's co-presenter on Newcastle Fans TV.
That was very brief. So we're going to begin with, where shall we start? The goalkeepers then. So Sharky's going to run us through Matt Sells, Carl Darlow and Elliot and just their seasons and do they have a future at the club and so on.
Well, I'm going to start off with Matt Sells because when we've signed him in the summer when we got relegated from the Premier League, he was probably expected to be the first choice goalkeeper when Rafa signed him.
Did you know much about him?
No, I didn't read. Obviously, we all knew. You watch YouTube clips obviously from the Belgian league and stuff, but that's a totally different league to where he is now.
Everyone looks amazing on YouTube though.
Exactly that's it. And
even Will does.
But like I say,
I think that's debatable. I won't lie. That is
my opinion on Matt Sells, it just hasn't worked out for him. He's found it very uncomfortable in playing English football. I believe I wouldn't say get rid of him, but he probably needs a loan deal next season because it's easier said than done just getting rid of players and bringing in new keepers.
Would you not sell him?
No, well, if he doesn't, sell him out on loan. If he doesn't improve,
prefer to loan him first.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because I think that makes perfect sense. Just to see how he develops at another club, because it might be different. And if he plays well, it might be an option for us to sell him on for a better value than what it would be now. Do you know what I mean? Just to sell him because he's had a bad season in the Championship in the second division. And so like I say, my opinion would be to loan him out and see how he develops, how he improves. And then obviously Carl Darlow, what a season he's had. He's had a fantastic season. Being what third choice keeper he would have been to Rob Elliott being second. I think he's had a decent season.
How has he had a good season? What's he done?
He's kept winning a lot of games. He's improved, vastly under Rafa Benitez, hasn't he? He's developed in each game that he's played. He's very he's a lot more intelligent than what he was when he first signed for the club. He kind of knows the ins and outs, doesn't he? He's got a good rapport with the fans, and I think
lost his position though, didn't he? After a good few performances, and then errors were coming in. Is that a worry for you?
A little bit, but not too much, because I think every keeper has the moments where they have a few jittery moments, and I think he can improve next season in the Premier League. Whether or not he's going to be number one, that remains to be seen. But obviously, in my opinion, I would keep a hold of him, but I'll kind of use him for the cups in the Premier League next season. And obviously, what was the next one? Tim Krul.
Elliot.
Oh, sorry, Elliot. Elliot, I'm a bit, I don't know, I'm on the fence with this one.
You're a fan of him?
No, I'm a fan of his, but it's just he didn't really play that many games, obviously because of injury. But I don't know what.
Took a long time for him to get the number one.
Yeah, I really don't know what to think about this one.
When Elliot plays, sorry, I'll quickly say. I think when Elliot plays, he tends to do really well. Do you remember that Bournemouth one last season, where I remember he saved absolutely everything that came his way, and we won 1-0 away from home.
Perez won it.
Yeah, it was.
The reason I'm on the fence with Rob Elliott is because Lee's obviously going to talk about the other goalkeepers that we have, and it's easy for me to say that we're going to have Elliott maybe as number one or whatever, but we've got another few keepers to talk about as well. So
it's a difficult one, the goalkeepers, because we've actually been linked with a few goalkeepers already. Well, we seem to be linked with everybody, and it's only literally the start of June. So I'm going to bring up Tim Krul. And now Tim Krul has obviously signed a contract extension when then he was out on loan to Ajax. Couldn't even get a kick, even though when he came back from injury. We established that he was actually still injured, wasn't fully match fit when he went over to Amsterdam, and then just couldn't break into the first team. And then Newcastle, when that Rafa had to make that decision, look, what do we do? He has a goalkeeper international, can't even get a game in the Eredivisie. So we loaned him out to AZ, and he was first choice goalkeeper there. But they have actually signed a goalkeeper ready for next season, so he's not going to go back there. And today, which is Sunday the 28th of May, they've actually just lost the playoff final in the Europa League Eredivisie qualifier, but Tim Krul actually saved yet again another penalty in the to make it go extra time. However, it's a difficult one, as Sharky's touched upon, about Sells, Darlow and Elliott, and now you chuck Tim Krul in there. You could argue that all four of them would think that they've got the opportunity to be number one. It's difficult to say who is going to be number one, but I would have to agree with Sharkey that Matt Sells is the most vulnerable one, who looks like he's on his way out. The other three then battle it out. But then again, we hear from the Chronicle that Rafa's looking for someone who can get the ball out and distribute it. So you would say none of those four goalkeepers can do that with the kicking expertise and getting the ball out quick. Rob Elliott's probably the best one. The youngsters at the club, Paul Woolston, who's loaned out on Blythe, who's normally our under 23 keeper, you're probably going to ask the same again. Can he really break in and get ahead of even like the last of Matt Sells? You would have to say no with that again. So he's young. Blythe, like the look of them. Blythe have been promoted to the Evo stick. Why not loan him out again, or even perhaps a league higher to the conference? Freddie Woodman's got big aspirations to be England's number one. He's played England. He's in the England under 20 World Cup at the minute. For me, I like him. I really like him. I don't know about you, lot, but what you've seen him, but what a keeper. He's going to go on. I think he'll grow, because he's quite skinny at the moment, and he'll grow into that big build goalkeeper, and he will play for England. But the only problem that I've got with Woodman is we don't want to be falling that Fraser Forster situation where we'll loan him out too many times and then he decides, that's it, I'm off, I've had enough, because he's had a great spell at Kilmarnock, few great saves, he's got a highlight wheel they've made up of him having on Twitter. So for Woodman, I think for me, I think the next step is again another loan. I don't think he's ready yet, because I think he's got the four experienced ones. Even if one of them goes, I still don't think Woodman's going to get a game. That's what I would say. The Championship, loan him out the Championship now. Let's say, because the Championship is a step up from the Scottish Premier Football. The SPL is what you want to call it. Do you all agree with the Matt Sells and everyone?
I agree with Sells. I think he's probably going to be going, because since he came out of the team, he hasn't really had a chance to look back in. My personal three goalkeepers for next season here would be Krul, Darlow and Elliott. I really don't see any reason to change that. I think beyond that, I definitely agree Woodman, a loan out to the Championship would be brilliant for him, but then the season after, really definitely start integrating him, otherwise because a lot of clubs are already looking at Woodman, and I reckon probably due to Elliott's age, which he is the wrong side of 30 now, I reckon he would probably be, well actually Tim Cool's 29 as well, isn't I'm not sure. So I think it would be, I think Darlow I think Darlow could sort of be like a set number 2. I think Woodman would definitely be our number 3.
They could play out in that 40, so.
Yeah, I mean goalkeeper's a difficult one because they can just be there forever. You know, we've had Steve Harper in the past. Shay Given went to quite an age as well. I think Woodman should be third choice keeper, not next season but the season after.
Let's speak up.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Basically, I can't see Matt Sells staying. I just think he's had his opportunity at the beginning of the season. It really didn't go well, and that's when you've got to make your impact, when the kind of spotlight's on you. This is your kind of stage. This is where you show what you can do. Again, I think it's between Darlow, Elliott and Krul next season. But yeah, Woodman's looking like he can be a really good player, and I'm looking forward to what we can find about him and see if we can start to integrate him in our squad.
Just apologise about that noise.
Sorry about the noise in the background.
We are next door to St James's.
We are. Lots of noise going on around. Moving on to the right backs. Got 4 to talk about. Gonna very quickly touch on Yedlin. I think he's been absolutely fantastic this season. Brilliant, forward, fantastic right back. Great pace going forward. Crossing, also developed defensively because he had that loan spell at Sunderland where he was very attackingly minded, didn't really defend that much, or didn't defend very well anyway. But I think he's really developed, and I would definitely have him first choice next season. Venanita. I thought he was pretty much a dead set to stay, to be honest, because he has been involved with the team a lot more than Jesus Gamez. However, it's come out in the last couple of days that it's now expected that he's going to be released, which I'm really, really surprised about, because he's versatile, he's fantastic on the ball. When he, at the end of last season, in the Premier League season, at right back, he was absolutely fantastic. I'm really surprised that that's going to be going, especially by the fact I'm struggling to think of probably a replacement. Gamez came with high expectations.
I like to remember me saying that.
Anita?
No, Gamez.
Gamez. Jesus Gamez, our Lord and Saviour. No, it didn't play. Came in high expectation for Atletico Madrid, Champions League finalist in two of the last 4 seasons. I was quite surprised because I thought he would actually get a fair bit of game time, but just turns out that he hasn't. I think there's been injury issues, and I think Rafa's probably wanted to not change the team that much at times, kind of wanted to keep it relatively consistent defensively. I don't really know if he... I sort of a bit 50-50 on this one, especially if Anita's going, because he kind of would just sort of fit in at...
He can play on the left as well, can't he?
Exactly, so he kind of sort of fits the role, to be honest, of just being a second choice, but...
Squad player.
Yeah, but, you know, would there be many people after him? I'm not sure. And the final fullback, Jamie Sterry, went out on loan to Coventry, I believe, for the first half of the season. Stayed with us for the second half. Had a recent operation. He's had a couple of substitute appearances. From what I've seen of him, he looks like a fairly decent player. Again, quite attack-minded, as I think most fullbacks are nowadays. You know, because I think when they're kids, they kind of just all want to be attackers in the end, and then they get put back defensively. I think he can definitely develop, I think, but... what was it? Coventry, League One, bottom end of League One. I reckon he needs another loan spell. Possibly looking at Championship. Probably one of the promoted Championship clubs. I would say like was it Sheffield United, Millwall, someone like that. That's my personal opinion. Anyone else got anything to say?
I would say just quickly on Yedlin. I think Yedlin's made for the Premier League already for your modern day fullback. You just look at Spurs like Danny Rose and Kyle Walker. Yedlin, that is it. He's ready for you. Yes, there could be a problem on the other side, but Yedlin is, for one, the standout for me. Sterry, I would agree. Gamez, squad player at the best. And a little bit. I would like to keep him.
Yeah, just expand on that. Anita, I would like to see next season, because I think he's one of those players that if you want him to play somewhere where at the back where we need cover, he'll play. Do you know what I mean? He's not.
I think Anita's a good example of someone who's probably not the best player, but he always tries. And he's also versatile as well, playing midfield, right back, right wing, which is actually very questionable, to be honest, why that happened at the start of the season. Yeah.
When we're saying Gamez as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Yedlin's been incredible this season, to be honest. I'm really surprised about the reports that we're actually going to just release Anita. I think he deserves to be at a push, you know, at least on the bench in the Premier League. I think he's done great this season, and I think he was the one that played through injury as well. Gamez, he hasn't shown that much, but he hasn't had the opportunity to. But yeah, Sterry has to go on loan again next season to get some more experience. Going on to left back. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Starting with Dummett, I think. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with us, but I think Dummett's quite underrated. I think people give him a lot of stick, which he shouldn't get. But if you look consistency-wise, Rafa picks players who are on form. He's quite ruthless with these decisions. And I think if Rafa didn't see something, he wouldn't be playing him. Especially when you have the likes of Lazar, who has that link with Yedlin. You know, you've got that kind of chemistry, and he's not put.
Definitely got chemistry off the pitch.
Yeah, but
not like that. I mean, they're always hanging out together.
Yeah.
They're always
No, but
partying.
you do realise what people would
Yeah.
immediately
I
derive
didn't
from that.
think.
They've got a fantastic bromance.
Bromance.
They went to LA. They rented a convertible
Las
together.
Vegas.
Heart to heart.
Yeah, I saw the hearts and the romantic music. They were riding down Venice Beach. Sorry, Elisha, keep going.
yeah. But I think Haidara, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go this summer. You know, he only played the last game. So he hasn't featured as much at all, really. I don't think there's any need for him to be there, because we've got two great players, and then we've got the prospect of Mabu as well, who has been on loan.
Yeah.
I think possibly one more loan season, and I think he could come in because he's on his loan. I've seen clips, and he's been very, very good, to be fair.
I think with the left backs, I mean, I give Dummett stick. That's fair enough, because I think he's centre back. Personally, I think he's better at centre back.
Yeah.
Though I do see why he does play. I reckon of the four, we'll let go of two of them. And Babu on loan, and either Haidara or Lazar goes. It's probably more likely to be Lazar from the early rumours that we've seen. I reckon we will get in another left back. A more attacking one. I mean, names have been circled around, and we could talk about that for ages. But I think Dummett's going to be quite important anyway. because the Premier League especially, we've seen now a lot of teams going through at the back, and I reckon in the Championship where we are, we came out as the best team, we could really play our way, with this sort of four at the back, four in midfield, whatever you want to call it. I think we're going to have to sort of switch it up a few times in the Premier League to get results, and I think five at the back, having an attacking fullback like Haidara or who else we're linked to, Dummett left centre back, I think that could work really, really well.
Just quickly touching on that, I think Dummett will stay. I think Lazar and Haidara will go, and I'd love to see Kevin Mbabu come in as a squad player, because when he come in under McLaren, he was absolutely superb. He can play left or right. He's played right back for young boys and actually scored a few goals, 2 or 3 goals, getting up and down that pitch. So he's someone who's got the legs who can get up and down. I'm really, really excited for his future, and I want him to stay in rather than go out on loan.
Yeah, for me, obviously, I'd like to see Dummett kick on in the Premier League with us next season. In terms of Mbabu, I'd like to see him come back and be given a chance to at least be on the bench.
No, that's for you.
For the next one, yeah, sorry. So I'd like to see Haidara go. I think he's had his opportunities, just hasn't quite worked out for him. Try and get a few coinage off him, and then obviously try and invest to try and push Dummett a little bit. But like I say, Mbabu, try and bring him back in onto the bench. Give him an opportunity to see what he's about, because I've seen him play for young boys in the Swiss league, and he's been playing all right. I know it's 2 different leagues, but yeah. Right, so now we're going to be talking about the centre backs. So starting off with Jamal Lascelles, for me, I'd like to see him to remain captain in the Premier League for Newcastle. I'd like to see him be the main centre back, because I think in the Premier League, he said all the right things, and he was meant to push on in the Championship. He had his moments, and he played through an injury and that. But I'd like to see him push on and try and make an even bigger name for himself at Newcastle. Because he has got talent, and he has got a lot going for him, and he's only a young lad as well. And I bet you, if we were to sell him, there'll be other suitors in there for him, because he's a young lad and he can get better. So obviously Hanley, there's been a lot of talk about Derby County putting in a loan deal in for him, or at least a move for next season. For me, in my opinion, I would like to see him go out on loan, if not keep him. I was kind of keep him, but obviously to send him on loan would be a good idea, because he didn't get that many games, did he, playing for Newcastle, because obviously Kieran Clark, and Bemba coming in a few times, and maybe if we do send him out on loan to another Championship club, it gives him the game time that he wants, because that's what he wants. Because before we signed him playing for Blackburn Rovers, he was playing a lot of games, and he thought signing for Newcastle, it was a big club, big step, where he was going to get more games, and it just obviously hasn't worked out. So a loan deal would probably suit him. Curtis Good, I'd probably get rid of him, if I'm honest.
Is he good?
Nah, he's not that good at it. Nah, not for me. It's been here too long. I'd like to just see Rafa get rid of him. Try and get a good profit of him if we possibly can. Probably not. But I don't doubt his ability. It just for me, he's
prone,
he's not really going to get into the centre back positions, is he? I mean, he's not really pushed even last season.
He's 23 now. You know what I mean? He's
exactly.
not young anymore.
No, that's it. And I think he's another one like Hanley. He needs first team football. He needs to go out there and get some more experience. Because he's not. Rafa is obviously going to go and buy other centre backs. He's not going to stick with what he's got. You know what he's like as a manager. He's going to do that. But yeah, that's my opinion on him. And the last one is Luva Sakta. Yes, you mentioned loan. I have to agree with that.
Well, he's out on loan, but he's a free agent, I believe, in the summer. Do you keep him?
It's probably get rid of him, probably, if I'm honest. I mean, like I say, the ones I've expanded on there. You got to look at it in the summer now. Obviously, we're a Premier League club now. He's going to buy other quality centre backs. Centre backs with experience, maybe of the Premier League. He's going to get other big names. To come and play for the club. And I think looking at those names, obviously Hanley going out on loan, Curtis Good, selling him and people like that. I think that's what we're going to have to do. He's going to buy, bigger and better centre backs. But I think Jamal Lascelles for me is the main man, along with Clark, who I think could start in the Premier League next season if he doesn't. Go on, Lisa, there you go.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think Lascelles can kick on and kind of continue what he started in the Championship, the captaincy. Hanley, I quite like the look of Hanley. Like every time he's come in, he's stepped in, he's kind of stepped up to the mark of the other centre backs that we have. But it'll be unfortunate to see him go, but he probably is, because game time he'll want to get the most. Curtis Good probably won't stay. I can see him going, and obviously Saka. Probably.
Careful how you say that.
And he'll probably leave as well.
generally agree. Lascelles definitely would stay. Good and Sakta definitely go. I think Hanley. I think it kind of sort of suits the way if the sort of centre back order him as fourth choice, but he'll probably demand game time. It really depends who else you can get in. I think there are definitely better names out there, players that we can get in. Lots of names circling around, and I think Hanley will probably. It wouldn't surprise me if we were on a permanent deal. To be fair to him,
Could happen, yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah, I think all three out of those four will go. Saka, free agent. Good's got 1 year left, and Hanley I think will be sold because I don't think it's Premier League material personally. Lascelles will stay. Doubt about him in the Premier League though. I've always said that though. We'll have to see how that gets on. We'll move across to. I've got 5 centre backs to run through dead quickly. So I'll start with the youngsters and move into the first team. So Cameron, who can play at centre back and left back, had the loan spell out in Newport, I think it was earlier on, and last season as well. He's at that stage where it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle do release him. Because he's at that age now. We watched him in the under-23 final as well, playing left back. Looked a little bit out of shape, but question mark around that. Finlay, I think I've got good prospects for Stuart Finlay. I mean, come in from Celtic, had a great spell out on loan at Kilmarnock. He's another one of those. Do you loan him out? Or do you make him play another first team year football? I think the stage for now Finlay is another year's loan. Macaulay Gillespie, who's had 2 seasons out in Carlisle. Keith Curle likes the look of him. Can play left back, to play centre back. He's take a few free kicks. I think the time for him now, he has to play first team football. So unfortunately, I think Gillespie will be sold for a small fee because he's not going to break into the first team in the Premier League. Chancellor Member, absolutely, I love Chancellor Member, I really do. I think he's a quality footballer. I think he's Premier League. He can bring the ball out as well. He's so comfortable on the ball. The Democratic Republic of Congo, if I say that right. Play him in midfield. I really like the look of him, but we'll have to see in pre-season what Rafa's lineups will be as we get to the first side. Kieran Clark, fantastic. What a buy he was in the Championship. Bargain this season, probably alongside Hayden. However, you just worry about Kieran Clark. Has he got that mistake in the Premier League? Kind of like Lascelles for me. So I think Clark and Bemba will stay. And I think the other 3 will have a loan temporary or go out on permanent deals. Any of you guys want to comment?
Completely agree. To be honest, I really don't have anything to add about that one.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think it's going to be Clark and Bemba for fighting out for that place as well.
I totally agree with everything you said.
Moving on to wingers, we're going to start with the right wingers. First of all, Matt Ritchie. I think I really don't have to say too much about him. For me, player of the season, absolutely fantastic. Seems like he run through a brick wall. Definitely runs through corner flags. Definitely stays. Definitely starts for me next season in the Premier League. Sammy Amiobi. As much as we all love him, as much as I think a lot of people want to see, he'll be a free agent. He's gone. Florian Thauvin, again, gone, which is quite unfortunate because he's actually been unbelievable for Marseille.
Do you know what, Thauvin, I'd happily see him. Thauvin, I'd happily see him go, to be honest with you, because the French league is a totally different league to the English league, and he really struggled at Newcastle. If I can get some money off him, let's speak up.
Yeah, I reckon with he was voted Marseille's player of the season, and I think he's being let go for £10 million? I think he said something like that. He was absolutely, but I've never seen a player look so feeble in my lifetime. When he played for us, did absolutely nothing. Scored 1 goal against Northampton, which I reckon all 4 of us can have a good go at that. It was actually a worldie, but I reckon all 4 of us can have a good go at that. I think Thauvin, it's already been confirmed that he's going to sign. Sammy, he'll go. Richie, I think that means we need to be looking at wingers.
Touching on Matt Ritchie, fabulous season. What a buy. 12 million, 16, 17 goals. Fantastic. Again, I think he'll start right wing next season. Sammy Amiobi, free agent. I think his time's up. I'm really, really disappointed in Florian Thauvin because I felt, and I've said this before, that
he's got ability.
He's got ability, but McLaren didn't know how to deal with him. It wasn't McLaren signing. You come in, Steve McLaren, Thauvin was signed a couple of weeks later, and then he shipped him out after 5 months of being in the club. Didn't train him. For me, I would have done the harsh treatment. I would have put him in the reserves and let him rot in the reserves and let him try and work on his game. At least work on him, help him out, and he just shifted out on loan. And then, what a season he's in the French squad now. It's just incredible. 15 goals, something like 12 assists. It's just mental, them stats. So, yes, he'll go. Marseille will trigger that clause, and it's a shame because was probably one of, ironically, it might turn out to be what Graham Carr's bad buys turn good buys for someone else. Anyway, any other guys want to comment?
No, I agree with what all you have said. Matt Ritchie obviously, should be, obviously will be a first team starter in the Premier League next season, no doubt. But he needs to be pushed. Obviously, I'm very, very disappointed in Tovan because when we bought him, he was known for all this skill and all this quality, and he apparently was the next big thing, and it just hasn't worked out for him. Also, Lee mentioned Steve McLaren, mismanagement yet again, and the fact that we didn't teach him the hard way, we just sent him out on loan. I don't think that was the answer. I think we had to teach him a lesson to think if you want to be in the first team, you're not going to get it doing easy. You're going to have to, be playing the reserves, and if you have to play so many games to try and get the point across, that's what we'll do. But the rest of them, I think, you can probably get rid of them. Like the Sammy Aniobi just hasn't really worked out, and I think.
Is there another Amiobi coming for the club because they seem to be around forever?
Probably. There's probably one there right now.
Called like Tony or something.
Tommy, yeah.
I mean, I think obviously for me, Richie's done no harm. He's fantastic buy from Bournemouth. £12 million. You look at that now, and you could probably go for a bit more. Looking at his quality, and I think Rafa will be obviously looking at wingers, and that's what I'm going to be saying on that.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. Richie, first team player, in my opinion, next season. Amiobi, I think that's come to an end now. I think he'll leave, and Tovan, the impact that he's had in the French league, I'm expecting them to trigger that clause as well. Moving on to left wing, Gouffran, I think he'll probably go. I don't think Rafa will keep him purely for the fact of how it kind of dropped off at the end of this season. It started well, but then it just didn't hold out. Obviously, we've signed Atsu. I can't see him being a first team player and see him being more of an impact player coming off the bench. Aarons, I think, will probably go on loan. El Mahani, I would actually like to see come into the side. I think he's a very good prospect, and I think Julian will be loaned out again. Anybody like to add anything?
Well, quickly, I think all agree Gouffran's gone. Atsu signed, I'm happy about that. Aaron's championship loan for me. Make sure he gets a full season of regular football. I agree with Elisha. Yassin Ben Al Mahani came in with a big reputation. Very skillful player. I reckon though.
YouTube star.
YouTube star.
You know what YouTube is?
He's like the new Santiago Munoz.
Opens doors.
I mean, from what I have seen, what I have talked to some people who've watched him, it seems as though he's all skill and really needs to work on, actually, doing, the dirty, doing the, what do you call it? Doing the hard work of football, making sure he's delivering crosses, make sure he's scoring. Alex Gilead was just a name on there. I think he's played for, he was at Bradford this season?
Bradford, Luton.
So far as I know, he did fairly well.
Carlisle last year.
Yeah. Fairly well, but I think that's another loan for him. I reckon Ben Al Mahani, I reckon a loan deal, again, first team football, that or under 23s.
Yeah, I think everyone's spot on. Gouffran, he's first half of the season fantastic. Atsu signed permanently. I think he'll be a squad player like Elisha said. Rolanda Aarons, it's that one, can he stay fit? Because if he stays fit, you could have a future, but it's that risk.
Things in the background as well.
Yeah. El Marni, everyone's excited about him because he's that type of, can he be the next Ben Arthur?
He needs a loan.
I think for me he needs a lot of work still. I think he's fantastic, he's great at beating his man, skillful and so on. But he's one of the three kids that Rafa chucked in the cup tie, along with obviously Finley and Barleza.
Obviously he sees something.
He sees something in him, but it's that question, what do you do with him? Do you put him out on loan? Because
I think he needs a loan.
Does he need more work? I'm two minds about it. If he stays, fantastic, because I think he needs to work on his discipline, because he's been passed around being a youngster, being on YouTube. It's amazing what YouTube can do for people, you know what I mean? It's difficult. Alex Gilead, Swalwell, played for Swalwell juniors. He's kind of like Macaulay Gillespie now. What do you do with Gilead? Does he have another loan spell out for a third year, or does he come to the point where and say, look, I need to settle, I need first team football? That'll be down to Alex to decide what he wants. It's difficult with the bottom two there, the two I've just mentioned. Sharkey?
No, I have to agree. And right, we're going to be talking about Hayden, Savvy, and Ball laser, yes. So was obviously signed Hayden from Hull City, was it last?
But he's on loan.
Well, Hull, yes. What a fantastic season Hayden has had for Newcastle United. What a man, what a leader, you know. I think he's played fantastic for us this season. He's very good on the ball. He's very good at picking players out, and he's very good at tracking back. And I think he said all the right things this season. I think he's delivered in the Championship. I just feel, obviously he's a young, talented Arsenal football club. Arsenal's a big club, and the fact that we've now got a hold of him, he can now progress for Newcastle. I think he's found another big-sized club, with a lot of high expectations, and I think Hayden this season in the Championship's been a breath of fresh air. Someone who we've kind of needed, for defensive cover, and I think he's someone who can progress next season in the Premier League. And I believe Rafa will give him more first team football because he's done the right things in the Championship. I don't know if any of you want to expand on Hayden.
Wait a minute, Xavier.
Oh yeah, Xavier. Yeah, well, we're saying to him. I forgot where we're going from now. It was in the Premier League.
Yeah, in January.
Back in 2016. It just hasn't worked out for Xavier, has he? He's already played the odd game now and then. We've sent him on loan.
Well, if Steve McLaren doesn't rate you, there's a problem.
Well, that's it, exactly. That's the problem we've had. And the thing is with Xavier, he's we've had him on loan and it just hasn't worked out for him. The club that he's at just hasn't worked out. And what do we do? Do we just sell him? Do we sell him on loan again?
I reckon the talk is he's going to leave on like a minimal fee, just a fee that will just and just wherever who will take him.
He's been very frustrating though, hasn't he? He's been very frustrating, I think, Xavier, because I don't think he's really pushed anybody, if I'm honest, and he doesn't look the type of player that's going to fit in our system.
Whatever team he was at Etihad or something like that, I don't think he was getting in that team either. I think he was struggling to get in it towards the end.
Yeah. And then obviously the last one's and then obviously by Ball Laser, we'll see him a lot in the reserves. And obviously he's had a few games in the Championship, and I think he's impressed on a couple of the games he's played. Obviously he's only a young lad. He's only a young lad. He's going to get better. I'd like to see him maybe push on next season in the Premier League. If Rafa sees another loan, send him out on loan, give him more and more experience in the Championship. Because if he plays for maybe a team that's just been promoted to the Championship, or maybe a middle class Championship club, he's going to learn. He's going to get better. Do you know what I mean? Playing in front of decent quality players, and if you were to send him in say the Scottish League or somewhere like that, he needs to get better and develop. And I think next season a loan deal wouldn't hurt. I don't know if anybody's want to discuss.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think personally, Hayden has done much better than I was expecting. He come in for under $1 million. I think it was 500,000 they were signing for.
Oh, Hayden?
Yeah.
2.5 million.
2.5 million? Was it 2.5 million?
Yeah.
Where did I get 500,000 from? But yeah, that's an absolute bargain. I think he's been incredible this season. Hopefully he can be another first team player because I do rate him highly. Xavier, probably sell him if we can. And Barlaser, I can probably see going out on loan actually.
Fantastic. Just touching that, Hayden, what a buy. I mean, I didn't know much about him. I've seen him a couple of times in the Championship when I've seen it, but it's one of those players that was signed, and it's been one hell of a buy. What a buy. What a scouting mark. And I can remember Rafa going down London and actually going to meet Hayden and say, look, you're part of my team. I'm going to build a team around you. And it was like, and he signed there and then. Fantastic. What a gem he's been. First choice alongside Shelby if both are fit. Henri Xavier, I think that's been mismanagement again by the previous regime. Graham Carr signing players. Again, this wasn't a McLaren signing because I remember Dumbia was signed at the same time as well. It's just a joke. And then he played like literally as an ant climbs up my bottle of water. He was signed and then he played a couple of substitute appearances under McLaren. McLaren lost his job and then we didn't see him again under Rafa. And then he was shipped out on loan. And I remember at the start of the season that he actually slagged off the Newcastle and Rafa Benitez when we covered a video. And I don't think his future is at the club. And I think Rafa, that'll be in the back of Rafa's mind, thinking what he said. And but then again, he might have a great pre-season. But is he better than what we've got? We don't know because we haven't seen enough of him. And Dan Barlaser, I praise him massively. As I mentioned a few times, he was in the same class as my brother. I met him mention that a few times and he follows me on Twitter. But I like the look of him because he picks the ball up and what he does, he looks straight away out of the wings and sprays it. It's quite similar to Shelby, but not as quality-wise, of course not. But Barlaser, I think he either needs to be amongst, come out the 23s and be around the first team next season. Even if he doesn't play, he needs to train with them, or he needs shifted out on loan to get at least Championship experience. Worst case now, a top one League One side. I've got two players just to run through. I'll start with Jack Colback, who Newcastle fans love to hate. He gets a lot of stick. But then again, the odd occasion, when I say other occasion, probably 1 out of every 10 games, he'll have an absolute brilliant game. He gets no credit for it, which is slightly harsh. But then again, you might give away a daft free kick. I think he gets a lot of criticism because he's been an ex-Mackham, and he gets the ball, tackles, and passes it sideways. He does his job. That's what he's in there, and he gets first team football, and Rafa picks him. So there must be something there that why he's picking him. John Joe Shelby, I could talk about him all day. Absolutely brilliant. Pick a ball up, he can score goals, he can spray it. Got a bit of mean side of him. I think his temperament's been a lot better. I know he had the racism row with Wold, but apart from that, he got a harsh red card. Was it Nottingham Forest? It was, and that was obviously rescinded. And apart from that, his temperament's been brilliant. And I think, where do we play him next season? Because does he pick the ball up from the defenders and start spraying it? Will he have the likes of, say, if we're playing Man City, David Silva on him, or Fernando, or whoever who's tracking him down, or the big side I'm trying to get my point across? Will he have that room? If not, do you push him further forward to a centre midfielder and attack a number 10? I think it's good options for Rafa. What do you lads and lasses think?
I reckon, two that you mentioned, I think Shelby, absolutely magnificent. Nothing really more to say about him. Definitely starting. Colback, I reckon, I was when the season ended, when I was looking through a list of players and thinking Colback, he's probably just going to leave. However, I actually probably think he'll stay because he seems to be favoured. He does his job.
Seems to be favoured more away from home, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like as a defensive midfielder, and that is something that we're going to have to be thinking about. It's something that we're rumoured to be looking at. Yeah, not that much really to say on these two.
Yeah, I think both of these should stay. I think Colback does get a lot of stick. I think on his day he can be very good and he can...
Ginger pear though.
Why does he get the stick though? Because he gets a lot, doesn't he?
I reckon it's because I think there was that time when Shelby got suspended for the racism thing earlier in the season.
He had to come in because I had no option.
Yeah, and then it was Hayden and Colback, and it was constantly passing sideways. And there's just kind of like that lack of creativity he has. I think he's just very decidedly average, but there's almost he's kind of like, he could be like our Gareth Barry. He just kind of just does his job, snaps someone every once in a while. It's also like the daft freak. He's a walking yellow card.
Do you think his criticism is harsh?
Yes, I personally do I have criticised him a lot, but when I really think about it, he doesn't really do that much wrong for what he's sent out to do.
Well, John Joe Shelby, you know what he's about. Fantastic buy from Swansea. This season, I think he's played a lot more defensive, playing from the back. Spraying a forward if and when he can. Yeah, he's our best centre mid by far. But in terms of Jack Colback, it's going to be sound harsher, but I think it's time for him to go, if I'm honest. I'm not saying it because he's played for Sunderland. It's all good having one game good out of 10, but if you're playing for Newcastle United, you've got to be consistent all the time. And you think now we're in the Premier League, Rafa can look at the team and you think, right, we can go and attract better midfielders. Midfielders with Premier League experience, because that's what we're going to need. We're going to need Premier League experience. I know he's had it for Sunderland, but yeah, he's a questionable one. I think I don't dislike him as a player. I think on his day he can be good, but I think he's had his time, and maybe if we can get something off him.
Do you think this will be a position where we'll strengthen?
I think we're going to have to in the midfield, because I think even in the Championship we were very suspect sometimes, and even though we did get quite a lot of goals, it was still at times we were still struggling, to create opportunities. And you look at some of the games, we only beat a few teams like 1-0, 2-0, and some games if we had a little bit more extra quality in that midfield, we might have scored, went on to score more. But like I say, I think Colback for me has to go.
Right then, moving on to what I would say would be our problem position, the number 10 role. 5 players here. I'm just going to rattle a couple off because I think they're fairly straightforward. First of all, Sean Longstaff had someone that Lee definitely rates very, very highly. Had a loan spell at Kilmarnock, did actually quite well, scored a couple of goals up there. I think he's got a very, very bright future. He does. Needs to sign a contract, otherwise he'll be a free agent. I think from what I've seen of him, he actually looks very decent. I think sign a deal, got on loan somewhere else, high-end League One, low-end Championship club, I think, for him. Haris Vukic getting released.
He's got to go.
Yep, never really made it in Newcastle, despite some promising signs. Also, Mohamed Diame came in with expectations quite high, did very well for Hull City, and was almost
He's another one, isn't he? That
Yeah.
gets criticised a lot.
he does get criticised a lot. He has there has been some games where he's looked absolutely unbelievable. I remember the game against Preston, the game against Birmingham. It was scored a couple of goals. For a little while was our best player, but he also has games where he does nothing, and I think one certain famous Newcastle fan quoted him to be like the Poundland Musa Sissoko. And if you think what Musa Sissoko is like, then what's the Poundland version going to be like? So I think he's going to be going, and we'll be looking at number 10s. I mean, Sigurdsson's been talked about, Kenny's been talked about. We won't talk about that. Isaac Perez, I think he is the man to fill this position at the minute with the current squad that we have. Started at striker, being moved back to number 10 for this season, and I think it suits him quite well, to be honest, to kind of work off the striker. Scored some really vital goals for us, scored some very good goals for us. I said before, I think technically, in terms of with the ball at his feet, he is our best player, to be honest. Drills around people, good finisher. I think he's definitely going to stay. The other one is Sim de Jong, had a loan spell at PSV Eindhoven with his brother Luke de Jong, another famous Newcastle flop. And another Graham Carl loan deal, I believe that was. I think he's been incredibly unlucky and has had some of the strangest injuries I have ever seen on a football pitch. An eye injury, a collapsed lung, I don't know, his
What
knees.
is a collapsed lung?
I don't quite know how that happens.
Your lung just, it's not working.
Yeah, we can't give up.
He kind of came in as kind of like the Kabay replacement, never really hit it off. I remember last season on McLaren, he missed like a goal against Aston Villa from 2 yards out, and I think if he scored it, we would have stayed up. I think this one's going to be decided in pre-season, what happens to him, because I reckon as a number 10, he kind of suits the role of like a shadow striker, because his record is generally quite good, apart from when he has come to Newcastle. I don't really know, but again, there are names out there. I mentioned a couple just now, like Kenny, like Sigurdsson, who potentially could come in and do a much better job. Anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah, I agree with some of the things that Will said, but obviously Perez for me is a questionable one, and obviously he's been pushed back to centre mid. But I'm kind of on the fence with him. I mean, we're going to have to work on the centre mids and these sort of players, in the summer.
If you got like a bit of 20 million quid for him, would you accept it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if we got a good bid in for him, let him go. Then we'll try and get someone with a bit extra quality, because no doubt the lad's got quality, but yeah, I think being in the Premier League with Rafa, we can get bigger and better. Do you know what I mean? We can make a name for ourselves, and we can push on to bigger and better things. And then in terms of De Jong, I'm one in favour of actually giving him a chance next season in the Premier League, because I think he's been very unlucky, and he, like the rest of the players, he does come with a big expectation, a big reputation, and I think if he does get eased into the first team, he can make a big impression under Rafa, because he's a different manager to what Alan Pardew, Steve McLaren and Carver, whoever else has managed him, and I think he has got abundance of talent. It's just whether or not he can get into the Newcastle first team, and I hope he does get that opportunity next season in the Premier League.
I think his loan spell, to have a full season, no injuries, so far as I'm aware. Playing fairly consistently at PSV, I think that's massive for him, and I think he's going to get his chance in the pre-season friendlies. He's going to assess how he is. I reckon he definitely could have a future. Elisha?
I'll come over.
Oh, sorry.
Then Elisha can take over. Two of those five will be here next season, I think. I think Diarmi is awful. I think we'll sell him. I'll even take $1 million bid off him. I think he's awful. I think he's crap.
I'd pay someone to take him off.
I think he's just awful. I just don't think... He's had a couple of good games, yeah, but is he now going to go up to the next level and perform? I cannot see it. I think he's awful.
He's championship player, basically.
I think it's just... Yes, you can say, he can drop into centre midfield, but nah, he's 29. He's... We'll probably get $1 million, $2 million. I think Perez is that one. Does he perform? Does he not? People get on his back as well. I'm one of them as well, I'm not going to lie. The number 10 is a massive problem in Newcastle because of the formation we play. De Jong, yes, he's done well, like Will said, at every division, but for me, I worry about his injuries and his mobility as well. Can he get around from left to right? Because that's what you expect in number 10, not to stay as number 10. It'll come out the left, come out the right. Vukic is a free agent. Sean Longstaff I really like. I think he will be loaned out. A massive, massive hope for him. Needs to sign the contract first, but I think it will be a position where we will strengthen despite Perez and De Jong, who can also, Perez, remember, can play, he's versatile, he can play on the wings, and he can play as a striker, and same as De Jong, he can play as a striker as well, but that is huge, huge problem for the club, and we'll have to sort that out by signing the top number 10 this summer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I can see Perez is probably the only one I can see definitely staying, with probably Longstaff going on loan again. The rest of them, I wouldn't be surprised to see them leave, to be honest. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for De Jong, but can we risk it again in the Premier League, having him with the injuries? Do we stick with him, or do we get a new player? Which is a bit of a difficult one to decide. But going on, well, yeah, there's talk Kenny as well. But going on to strikers, Dwight Gale, I think, again, has to be a first team player. Hopefully pre-season goes well with injuries, etc., and getting back to full fitness. Mitrovic, personally, for me, has to go. He's been given his opportunity. The Championship, for me, was probably the time that he was going to shine. It's a much more physical league. He can bully players more than he would get away with it in that league. And he just hasn't shown it the times that he's been shown. Murphy, unfortunately, will probably go. But I think he has done well this season. Armstrong, I would like actually see come into the side, at least on the bench. I think he had a very, very good loan spell. He scored some great goals, to which I've seen. Tony and Riviere, again, I can see going on loan.
Striker for me is an incredibly difficult position to think about, because there's a question mark over all of them, and I'll explain that for Gale, because Gale never really had his chance at Crystal Palace. And if you're going to get another striker, then you're sort of relegating Gale to the bench, really, with this formation that we play. In all fairness, when he did play for Crystal Palace, he actually did very, very well. His strike record is actually very, very good. I would definitely give him a chance, and I think we can all say that this season the expectations aren't going to be ridiculously high, so you can almost afford to give Gale that chance. If you're going to bring in someone for 20 million quid, you're just going to relegate Gale, and he really deserves his chance, because I think he definitely could do something in the Premier League. You just definitely can't be sure. Mitrovic, I keep tossing between this one. I reckon if it was me, unless I got a fairly good bid for him, I would probably keep him, because he's a very different option to Dwight Gale. And if you remember, in the Premier League, he actually scored a fair amount of goals considering how bad we were. And there were games where there was that Norwich one where he nearly saved us, where he scored 2 goals. And the Sunderland one as well. I think people kind of do forget that. I love his passion, and I think it's a big factor why people love him. How much, and we've kept Shohei Armiobi at this club for God knows how long, because of how much he loves the club. So we'll have to wait and see. Murphy, he can come out of this club with his head held high, frankly, and played very, very well for us when he got a chance, but he's a Championship player. Armstrong, this is horrible. This is horrible, because I have not got a clue either what I would do with him or what anyone is going to do with him. I've actually talked to his agent in a just exclusive. But he made this claim that he's the best under-20 player in the country, which I can't have raised an eyebrow to, but anyway.
He would say that.
He would say that. He's also John Shelby's agent. He's...
Get them on the channel. Get them on the channel.
Do you want me to carry on, or do you want to take over? Armstrong has definitely got ability. He's probably our brightest at the minute, brightest young prospect at the club. Fantastic pace, fantastic finish, great finisher. At Barnsley didn't set the world alight, but he scored some very vital goals for them. A very vital 6 goals. And I reckon I want to see him be given a chance, but I don't really know if he would, to be honest. That's the thing. Tony, I reckon he'll go out on loan. Riviere, I'm not going to dignify with an answer. I would pay someone to let him go. I'd pay someone to take him away and never to see him ever again. He's now not scored a goal for nearly 3 years.
Awful, isn't it? Again, it's difficult, isn't it? Gale I'll keep, because he's a guaranteed goal scorer in the Championship, but the question mark, can he go in the Premier League? Mitrovic, I would agree with Will, because he's something that you can bully defenders, and he was actually fairly decent in the Premier League when we went down. I think he had a great partnership with Perez. We just didn't have the wingers to go around him. So I'll keep Mitrovic. I would actually get rid of Murphy. He's been a good servant for the year. I just worry about him going to the next level. Armstrong, again, it's like, what do you do with him? Do you bring him in the squad? Do you play him a few games? But
do you reckon he could be a number 10?
I don't know, because he's that killer. He wants that killer instinct. Just touching on Armstrong, because I've got friends there as well. Armstrong's cousin actually has got kids with my cousin as well. Friends, family friends.
We'll have a reunion.
So I could actually be distance relationship if they ever got married. So there you go. Ivan Toney, I would loan him out because he had a good end of the season with Scunthorpe. Emmanuel Riviere, I mean, he's got 1 year left on his deal. If we cannot sell him, I would even probably China. Do you want him?
China, do you want him?
I mean, I would quite happily, if we can't get rid of him and then we're desperate, I would quite happily loan him out and we'll pay the full wages for him. Just to get rid of him. We need him off the. I don't think he's here, but Adam Armstrong one is the question mark, the big one out there, because he's your local number 9. He's your Geordie. He's your striker. He wants to be the next Alan Shearer, Andy Cowell, to come through.
I reckon he could be. It's just, when will he get his chance? The rewards of doing so well in the Premier League are enormous.
I think the formation doesn't help either.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I think he would suit playing as two strikers.
Yeah, 4-4-2.
Yeah, if you went Mitrovic and Armstrong, I reckon you could definitely. I reckon that would be something that I would like to see at least tried. But Rafa at no point. Or I think Rafa played 2 strikers for the first time against Barnsley, and for about 10 minutes. So.
Does anybody want to add to that?
No, I think.
Right, so just talking about the strikers. So Dwight Gale for me next season, I would like to see him start. I think he's just awards in the Championship, scoring over 20 goals for us this season. Mitrovic for me, I'll get rid of if we can get a good good value for him, because I think he's failed to deceive. He didn't score enough in the Premier League, and I don't think he scored enough in the Championship either when he was meant to be better. And obviously it just hasn't worked out for him. Murphy, I know he's old and stuff, but if he walks away, he walks away with. 34. Well, 34 is still old for me. He's still old. He's done well. Being an older type striker. But I think I'd like to keep him next season in the Premier League, just to bring him off the bench. Just to run the clock down a little bit. Armstrong, obviously that's a funny one. He's done all right for Barnsley. I'd like to see him go back out on loan again, maybe for half the season again.
He'll want that though.
Obviously, he's not going to want that, but I think to keep improving and getting better, I think he's going to have to keep playing in the Championship and score more goals than he has for Barnsley. He obviously scored 6, but can he play for a better club within the Championship? Can he play for a Norwich, or can he play for an Aston Villa? Someone who's got better players where he's going to develop and get better, and I think that's what he needs. I think pushing him back into the Premier League with Newcastle is a big risk, and I think we don't want him to lose his reputation. Ivan Toney for me, I would either send out on loan, or I would try and get a quick value off him, because I don't think he's going to push any of those strikers, if I'm honest. Because you look at Benitez, he's going to buy other strikers, isn't he? With the money that we've got, there's been talk of every striker from A to Z. So I think maybe send him out on loan, or just try and get some money off him, and that'd be the best option. And Riviere for me, I'd get rid of him. He's just not good enough.
How do you get rid of him?
I'd send him in a taxi, or give Sunderland a ring and say, do you want a striker next season because Defoe's gone? Do you know what I mean? So that's just my thoughts on the strikers and what I think should happen in the summer.
Right, so that's the squad. So everybody in the comments box, if you listen on YouTube, will be hammering them boxes saying, we need to sign this, we need to sign this, we need to sign him, we need to sign him. So let's be realistic.
We need to sign Shaw, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Sigurdsson, Sturridge, Messi, everybody. That's just not happening.
So let's talk about, because obviously we want this podcast to be about an hour. I've got about 6-7 minutes. Where do we strengthen? What are the problem positions? Sharkey?
I think up front is definitely a problem, and midfield is definitely a problem, because a lot of those strikers that I mentioned, a lot of them are either going to be going out on loan, or we're going to be getting rid of a lot of them. In the Premier League, we're going to need more goals, because I think if you look at in the Championship, we still struggle to create a lot of chances against some of the so-called Championship clubs. And I think in the Premier League, you're playing against better opposition with better defences. And we are going to have to buy players, I think, from the Premier League. Even if we have to break the bank to get a striker that can bang in some goals next season, we're going to have to score goals, because when we got relegated, we didn't score enough goals, and we were very suspect. And I think we need to, and even in the Championship, I think we were very suspect as well. If strikers are that I would like to see it in the for us. I would like to see someone like Joshua King from Bournemouth, or somebody like Sturridge, if we can get him. I know it's a big ask. I know he's injury prone and stuff, but someone who's been there and done it. Guys who have scored goals. I'm just trying to think of a few more. Obviously, in terms of like midfielders as well, obviously we're going to have to help Shelby as well, because it's not just all about Shelby. Because Shelby, I think we put a lot of pressure on Shelby because he's the best quality that we've got in terms of our midfield, and I think. Not just a phone ringing, you know. But no, like I say, being honest, I'd like to see someone like maybe Mike McCarthy coming from Everton, someone who's got a little bit of experience, you know, in the Premier League. You're not going to get a lot of games, but someone who maybe can fit into the Newcastle team, you know, has a know-how of the Premier League. And there's just a few, you know. Obviously, you're going to have your opinions, but yeah, I'll move on to Elisha.
I think we're number 10 and we're strikers is definitely where we need to improve, because if you look at what options for number 10, there's Perez. It would be our main option, and what do we do if he gets injured or something that isn't an option which is at the same level as he is. So definitely going to have to look there. The likes of Kearney have been mentioned, so players like that. And I think strikers as well, like the talk of Josh King, I think he would actually be a decent player to put in. You know, Rafa can kind of mould him into the team the way he wants them to play. I think he could do really well.
I wouldn't want to throw the kitchen sink at it all, because I think there's a lot of good relationships in the squad. So like the centre-back partnership works well, the centre-midfield partnership of Shelby and Hayden work well, but I think we do need to add quality in positions. I would take Kieran Gibbs at left-back. I think centre-back, there are lots of names going around that I probably haven't even heard of.
Callum Wilson.
Is he a centre-back?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think midfield, I think James McCarthy's a really, really good shout, but if you get him in, you're kind of saying Hayden has to take a back seat. I reckon I would take back Andros Townsend. I really would. And I reckon now Allardyce has left Palace, I reckon there's a definite really good chance, because I thought it was just completely gone because he played really well under him. Number 10, I talked about Kearney. I reckon he sort of fits the mould, having Perez as the starter. Strikers, I mean, you can name so many. I reckon Daniel Sturridge is a massive risk, because that price tag is going to be huge. It's going to be huge, but I reckon he could definitely shine. He really, really could. Again, Josh King, Callum Wilson, Andre Gray. There are lots of names that are buzzing around. I think actually, if you wanted to change up the whole strikers, I reckon I like the Tammy Abraham link. I also like the Batshuayi link. I reckon those two and Gale as the three main strikers, plus maybe Armstrong if you really want to keep him on, would be very, very good for us.
Yeah, I've mentioned Kieran Gibbs to you, haven't I? So Kieran Gibbs, because he's not getting much first team football, and he's a modern day left back who can get up and down. He'll give Dummett some competition and gives the options of your modern day left back getting up, because your full backs or your wingers now, because the system that we play, you're tackling right and tackling left, come inwards. I think Andros Townsend is a good option. I think Rafa will be looking at a wing. I think we need another one. Richie needs competition. Richie's got no competition. His form could dip and we might still be playing him. I think you're looking at all the players that you're buying, you're going to have to break the bank for wages. You're going to have to do it. I think Sigurdsson is the number 10 I'd love to have. If it takes something ridiculous like 20 million, 25 million, go for it. Goals keep you up, in my opinion. You probably have to pay stupid odds for the wages. Daniel Sturridge is another one I'd love to see. It's striker. Yes, he's greedy, but he scores the goals. Injury, you are worried about it, because can he keep his full season? Rafa has also said yesterday it was, he's looking at the top 7 for loan players. So you look at the top 7, you'd probably think, Sturridge, why not? Pay a loan fee, 2-3 million, get him out, get you out for a season. James McCarthy's been linked. I think it's more attacking. And then there's obviously the rumours going around whether Rafa wants another goalkeeper for distribution. I'll be against that, because I think we've got too many.
Caballero?
Nah, I don't want them. No, I don't want any of the Manchester City lot that have been rejected either. Even Gail Clichy, I wouldn't either. So that's what we think. Of course, if you listen on YouTube, get your comments down there below. And we're going to just do a few outros now, where you can find everybody. So we'll begin with you, Sharky. Where can people find you?
Right, so you can find me on Newcastle United, One Club, One City on YouTube. I talk everything Newcastle United. I do match reviews, match previews. I do just everything Newcastle United, and I also do the odd football chat as well. So please check us out. And yeah.
I've been Elisha. You can find me on YouTube on Elisha FC, and I cover ELISHA, and you can find loads of Newcastle United content on there as well.
I'm Will Dixon. You can find me on Newcastle Fans TV. Make sure you're following that one on Twitter. Make sure you're following that one on Facebook. Also, website. I also have my own Twitter, which is Dixon MP4. Don't ask why. Yeah, for Lee.
Yeah, and obviously you can find me. I run most of the accounts Newcastle Fans TV across social media and YouTube. So that's been the podcast. You can obviously we're on iTunes, Podomatic, SoundCloud, and of course on YouTube as well. And if you want to get in touch with us, contact us via social media. And thank you very much for listening in Newcastle Fans TV.